I never thought losing 180 pounds would break me more than gaining it ever did. But the truth is, nobody warns you about the embarrassing side of a success story. The side you hide under clothes, fake smiles, and quiet shame. What would you do if your own body felt like a costume that no longer fit? How would you explain to people that the victory they celebrate is the same thing that now scares you? I thought losing weight would fix everything. Instead, it exposed everything I used to bury. Every mirror became a reminder. Every quiet room became a battlefield. And every smile from someone else felt like a test I wasn't ready for. Here's the part no one tells you. Transformation doesn't start with pride. It starts with fear. Fear of being seen again. Fear of being judged again. Fear of realizing the pain didn't disappear. It just changed shape. But today I'm ready to reveal the truth. The real, messy, embarrassing truth behind losing over 180 pounds. And why it almost broke me before it's safe. People think the hardest part is losing the weight, but no one talks about the shock of seeing a body you don't recognize. I thought the new version of me would feel strong, confident, ready for a fresh start. Instead, I felt exposed. Every morning became a moment of truth I didn't want to face. There were days when I would stand completely still, afraid of what the mirror might show. It wasn't pride I felt. It was confusion. How can you work so hard to change and still feel like the same scared person inside? My family tried to celebrate me, but even their smiles felt heavy. I didn't know how to tell them that the victory they saw wasn't the victory I felt. I was grateful, but I was also embarrassed, confused, and overwhelmed by my own reflection. The truth is, losing 180 pounds didn't erase my pain. It just revealed new parts of it. And in that silence, standing alone with my new body, I knew this journey wasn't over. It was only beginning. Loose skin was the first thing that hit me. No one warns you about how heavy it feels, how it moves on its own, how it pulls at your confidence every time you walk. I thought I'd feel lighter, but instead, I felt like I was carrying a new weight no one could see. Every step reminded me of the body I used to have. Every shake, every fold, every sound made me feel exposed in ways I never imagined. Shopping for clothes became a nightmare. Nothing fit the way it should. Shirts clung to the wrong places. Pants hung too loose in one spot and too tight in another. I thought weight loss would make dressing easier, but instead, I felt more confused than ever. Even at the gym, the place where I rebuilt myself, I couldn't escape the embarrassment. When I ran, my skin moved in ways that made people look twice. When I lifted, my shirt shifted and showed lines I didn't want anyone to see. I felt like a stranger in my own progress. And then there were the reactions from people who hadn't seen me in months. Some stared too long, some whispered, some didn't recognize me at all. I didn't expect attention to feel this uncomfortable. It made me feel like I was being watched for the wrong reasons. Or two wrong reasons. Every change came with a new challenge. A new moment of embarrassment. A new reminder that losing the weight wasn't the finish line. It was the start of something harder. I didn't just have to rebuild my body. I had to rebuild the way I saw myself. People started treating me differently. At first, I thought it felt good. Like all the hard work finally meant something. But the more attention I got, the more uncomfortable I became. Compliments felt heavy, like I had to live up to some new version of myself. I didn't know how to smile back without feeling like a fraud. When people said, "You look amazing," I never knew what to say. Part of me wanted to thank them. The other part wanted to disappear. I didn't feel amazing. Every compliment was a reminder of the body I used to hide from the world. At the gym, people who never noticed me before suddenly wanted to talk. Some asked for advice, some asked for before and after. photos. I didn't know how to tell them that the after didn't feel like a victory. It felt like pressure. Pressure to be perfect. Pressure to stay that way. The hardest part wasn't their questions. It was the fear behind them. What if I failed again? What if I gained it all back? What if they stopped seeing me as inspiring and went right back to seeing me as the person I fought so hard to change? That fear stayed with me every day. The more people noticed me, the more afraid I became of losing control. I didn't want to be an example. I didn't want to be a story. I just wanted to feel normal again. But the truth was clear. I wasn't the same person anymore, and the world wasn't going to treat me the same either. It happened on a day that was supposed to make me feel proud. I had finally agreed to join a group workout, something I avoided for months. I told myself it was time to stop hiding, time to step out of my comfort zone. But the moment I walked in, I felt every eye turn toward me. I tried to ignore it. I tried to breathe. But deep down, I already felt something was about to go wrong. The warm-up started easy, but as the pace picked up, I felt my shirt pulling in strange ways. Every jump made the extra skin on my stomach move painfully. I kept adjusting my clothes, hoping no one would see. I kept my head down, pretending everything was fine. But embarrassment has a way of finding cracks. The moment came fast, too fast. We were doing high knees. One sharp movement, one pull of gravity, and my shirt lifted high enough for everyone behind me to see the loose skin I tried so hard to hide. I froze. The room didn't. I heard a faint laugh, then another. It cut straight through me like a blade. I stumbled out of the workout room and into the locker hallway. My chest felt tight. My hands were shaking. I wanted to disappear. I didn't want anyone to see me. Not like that. Not after everything I fought for. The humiliation felt heavier than the weight I used to carry. I sat on a bench, trying to calm my breathing. I kept telling myself it wasn't a big deal, but it was. It felt like every fear I ever had came rushing back at once. I thought losing the weight meant I would never feel this kind of shame again. I was wrong. This was the moment I realized that healing isn't a straight line. Sometimes it breaks you before it builds you. I didn't want to talk to anyone after that day. I shut myself in my room and stayed quiet. But the people who cared about me weren't ready to let me disappear again. Mia showed up first. She didn't knock hard or force her way in. She just sat beside me and waited. Sometimes support doesn't need big words. Sometimes it just needs someone who refuses to leave. She didn't ask me what happened right away. She let me breathe. And when I finally told her everything, every detail of the embarrassment, every fear I tried to hide, she didn't laugh, or look away, or say it was nothing. She just listened, really listened. And for the first time in days, I felt like I wasn't drowning. Jordan came next. He wasn't soft about it. He never was. He told me that hiding wouldn't fix anything, that every person who ever changed their life went through moments that almost broke them. He reminded me that strength wasn't about having a perfect body. It was about showing up, even after you fall apart. We trained slowly that day. No heavy weights, no fast movements, just breathing, stretching, and learning how to feel safe in my skin again. Jordan talked less than usual, but every word landed. He wasn't trying to push me harder. He was trying to help me rebuild the part of myself that I thought I lost. By the time I walked out of the gym, something felt different. My body hadn't changed. My loose skin didn't disappear. The embarrassment still lingered, but there was a small spark inside me. A reminder that I wasn't doing this alone. That maybe, just maybe, I was stronger than the moment that tried to break me. Slowly, life started to feel different. Not perfect, not easy, just different. I began trying things I used to avoid. Simple things. Walking into a store without panicking, showing my arms without pulling at my sleeves, meeting people's eyes instead of looking at the floor. Every small step felt like learning how to live again in a body that still felt strange. but no longer felt like the enemy. Mia pushed me to step even further out of my comfort zone. She invited me to small gatherings. Nothing loud, nothing overwhelming. Just a chance to talk, to laugh, to remember what it felt like to be around people without fear. At first I felt awkward, like I didn't know where to put my hands or how to stand. But with time, I started to breathe easier. I even tried dating again. It felt terrifying at first. I worried about what people would think when they saw the scars and the loose skin. I worried they would judge the parts of me I still struggled to accept, but I learned something important. Honesty makes fear smaller. When I stopped hiding, things didn't fall apart. They finally started to make sense. My confidence didn't come back all at once. It came in small sparks. The first time I wore a fitted shirt. The first time I didn't pull at my sleeves. The first time I looked in the mirror and didn't hate what I saw. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about seeing myself with a little more kindness. I wasn't done growing. I wasn't done healing. But for the first time in a long time, I felt hope. I felt like I could build a life where I didn't have to hide, where my story wasn't about embarrassment but resilience. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was becoming someone new, someone I never thought I could be. I spent so many years believing embarrassment made me weak. Every awkward moment, every stare, every slip of confidence felt like a failure. But standing here now, after everything I've lived through, I understand something I never saw before. Embarrassment isn't the enemy. It's proof that I cared enough to step into a world that once terrified me. It means I tried. It means I wanted more. It means I was brave enough to show up even when I felt broken. The truth is, change doesn't feel heroic while you're in it. It feels messy, confusing, and sometimes painful. But those feelings are part of the journey. And when you face them instead of running from them, you grow in ways you never believed possible. For so long, I looked at my loose skin and scars as something to hide. I thought they made me less. I thought they were reminders of everything I failed at before I finally changed my life. But over time, something shifted. I started seeing them for what they truly were. Proof that I fought, that I survived, that I didn't give up when it would have been easier to quit. Every mark on my body carries a chapter of my story. Not a pretty one, not a perfect one, but a real one. And real is powerful. Real is human. Real is what connects us. I realized I didn't need to hide those parts anymore because they weren't something to be ashamed of. They were signs I was learning how to be honest with myself. My family saw the change long before I allowed myself to feel it. My mother told me one afternoon that she hadn't seen me smile with real happiness in years. At first, I didn't know how to respond, but later, when I caught my reflection laughing at something simple, something small, I realized she was right. Healing didn't show up in dramatic moments. It showed up in the quiet ones. Laughing while cooking, talking without feeling nervous, standing without trying to shrink myself. I started living instead of surviving, and my family noticed it before I did. Sometimes the people who love us see our growth before we're ready to believe it ourselves. Mia said something that I didn't fully understand until now. She told me, "You didn't just lose weight, you came back to yourself." At first, I laughed it off, but when I thought about everything I went through, I realized she was right. I didn't just change my body. I rebuilt the way I walked through the world. I learned how to be honest with people instead of hiding behind jokes. I learned how to let others help me instead of pushing them away. And most of all, I learned that shame loses its power the moment you stop running from it. I didn't become someone new. I became someone honest, someone real, someone alive. Kingen, kanimni mei, shurni main and shresru deror. English received alive. So here's what I've been wanting to say. The truth I carried for years but never had the courage to share. Yes, I lost over 180 pounds. And yes, my body changed in ways that scared me. I lived through moments that made me want to hide again. Moments that almost broke me. But those embarrassing moments taught me more about strength than any victory ever could. They taught me patience. They taught me courage. They taught me to stand tall even when I wanted to disappear. And most of all, they taught me that transformation doesn't end when the number on the scale changes. It begins when you decide to stop hiding from who you really are. I'm not done growing. I'm not done healing. But I'm finally living a life I'm proud of. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real.